So in this case, we are given another question to consider as our revision. That is part of our vectors. They were given that is in the diagram, OXYZ is a quadrilateral. We are given a four-sided shape where in which the point P is given, all right? So that's the point P here. Is a point on OZ. So it's a point found on O to Z such that its vector OP is given, and this time as a column vector from O to P. We are given that vector as what? -1, -2, or P. And OX as 5, 0 from O to X as what? 5 as a column again, column vector. And these lines intersect at R, O, Y, this one, and XP, they intersect at R. Okay, that's the information that you're given. So using this information, we are asked to find these questions and also this other part. All right, so let's start with this one. A, find vector XP. So X to P. From this information, X to P. Remember, we need the root that we're going to take X going to P. So which root are we going to consider first? From what we are given this part and this part. So we are going to consider this direction, X going to O, then O to what? To P. So that's from X to O. Then add O to P. This is the route that we are going to take. Where XO, we are opposing what we are given, the arrow on the diagram, X going to O, we are going this way. We are opposing what we are given, the vector that we are given, position, which is what? 5, 0. So that's 5 what? 0 as a negative because we are opposing that. So you're going to multiply by a negative, the vector. All right? OP, we are moving in the same direction as this, the arrow that we're given. So that's a positive. It maintains the positive. -1, -2. So let's evaluate this and see what you're going to have. Simply expand by the negative, multiply everything. That's a scalar, so it multiplies everything. Negative times 5, that's -5. Negative multiplies a 0, simply becomes a 0, remains as a 0, I mean. -1, -2, then combine. As we can see, we are working with column vectors, so we add corresponding what? Terms, corresponding numbers, -5 plus -1. So that's going to give us a negative. -5 minus 1. Add these, that's 6, and put a negative on your answer, the common sign, okay? 0 plus -2, 0 plus -2. A plus and minus gives us a minus, so that's 0 minus what? -2, which is -2. So that's our vector what? Our vector XP that we are going to have at the end, all right? So vector XP can be obtained as a column vector as we are dealing with what? A column vector. Then, given that, it is just like we're given if this is equal to that, XR is equal to HXP, item 1, express XR in terms of H. If XR is taken from XP, we already have that XP. We have the vector XP, this one. We have it, we calculated that. So simply substitute into that as we are given. So B item 1, XR, if we are given that it is equal to HXP, therefore simply substitute that. So that's H times vector XP, which is this one, XP minus 6 minus 2. So multiplying by h, all right, that's h times minus 6, that's minus 6h. H times minus 2, minus 2h. So that was going to give us what? The vector xr. Okay, so that is how we simply play around such typical questions. As we can see, it is direct. Let us move on to another one, then show that OR is equal to this. As we can see, OR is given also in terms of what? In terms of H. So far from our calculations, the only part that contains H is XR. So meaning to say, in order for you to find the vector OR, you must include XR in the root. You must include XR as it contains what? H. Because our answer is needed in terms of H. As you can see, the answer here is in terms of H. So XR, I mean the OR, you must include XR in the root. You must include XR in your root. All right, this is what I'm trying to say. You must include XR, this one, in the root in order for you to find what you're asked here, which is what? OR. All right, so OR, which root are we going to take? From O to what? From O to R, this is the vector that we are being asked, this one, from O to R. But we must include what? We must include XR in the root. So meaning to say, definitely, we are going to move this way. All right, let me erase this one that we had before so that we can properly see. We need to include what? X to R. So we are going to move from O to X, then from X to R. That is the root that we are going to take to find vector OR, this one, including XR, as XR contains what? H, this one. So that's how we're going to simplify that. So OR is going to be equal to what? Let us just have it here. So that was item 2 of what? Of B. So that's OR. We just need to show that. So OR is going to be from O to X, then X to R. So that's OX, then X to R. Just like that. Okay, so this is OX. You already have that you're given, and we are taking it in the same way as the given arrow here. So it maintains this as a positive, 5, 0 as a what? As a positive in the same direction. Then XR, from X to R, we already have that here. So you simply combine, add that. So you add what our XR. Our XR is minus 6H minus 2H. So that's it. Minus 6H minus 2H. So combine, as we are dealing with a column vector, you're going to find vector OR5 plus minus 6H. 5 plus minus 6H. A plus and a minus, that's a minus. So that's 5 minus 6H. You cannot simplify that. Those are unlike terms. All right. Then 0 plus minus 2H on this part. Plus and a minus, that's what? A minus. So it's 0 minus 2H, which is what? Minus 2H. It is just like 0 minus 3. The answer is minus 3. All right. So ignore that 0 there. So that is 0 minus 2H. The answer is minus 2H. Is it exactly what we are being asked to show? Yes, exactly. This is what we are being asked to show. So that was the concept of the question here, to show that it is going to give us that. All right. So that was our or are given or using the what? The root that contains H, and that was XR. So you must include XR on that root. Okay, that's how you play around with this. All right, also we are given this information, all right, on C, given also that OZ is 3OP. I said whenever you're given that, find that first. Then, and ZY is this, find OY. Okay, let's start with what we are given, OZ. OZ, okay? So here, let me just try minimize These ones, okay, that we calculated. Just gonna need the answers only here. All right, so let me just take this one and just put it somewhere here. All right. Sorry for that. So let us have this condition. So like what you're given here is that on C, let's start with OZ. All right. So C, we are given that OZ is equal to 3OP. Let's find that one first. So OP, we have it from O to P. This is what exactly we're given there. So simply multiply by what? By 3. 3 is the scalar in this case. So OP, that's what? -1, -2. Find it. Okay. That part that you're given. All right. So this was going to give us OZ. Okay, which is 3 times -1, -3, -2, that's -6. If we multiply by what? By 3. Another statement is ZY. Let's find again that ZY is equal to what? 2OX. That is what you're given. So OX, we have it. This is the one. So that's 2 times what? OX 50. 2 times 5, that's 10. 2 times 0, that's a 0, this one. So ZY is equal to 10, 0. So let us find vector OY. So definitely, guys, they cannot give us this information and not use it to find vector OY. There's no way. So what they're simply asking us to do is to find vector OY. Let us represent that O to Y. This one, O to Y. But including what we calculated here, OZ, we must include OZ. And we must also include ZY that we calculated to find OY. So are we seeing, guys, it is just direct. The root was going to be OZ plus what? ZY. From O to Z, then Z to Y. So that's it. OZ plus ZY. That is the root that you're simply going to take. Include what you calculated there. So that's OY is equal to OZ. We have it -3 -6 plus ZY. We have it 10, 0. So that's easy like that. So we can have our vector OY at the end. Adding corresponding terms. These are columns, vectors. So we add corresponding terms. -3 plus what? -3 plus 10. That's 10 minus 3, which is 7. -6 plus a 0, that's -6. There is no effect there. So that's the vector or y that you are being asked on that question. All right, just like that, you are done. All right, so that's it. Only 1 mark. Okay, no problem. Then if OR is equal to this, all right, let's just erase this part here so that you can properly see what we are being asked and what we are given. So do understand, guys, what you are dealing with. The vectors, one of the easiest topics that you're supposed to actually totalize. Vectors, transformation, those are obvious topics. What I mean obvious topics is like you can actually even mark yourself to say, is this correct or wrong? You can mark yourself before even submitting your answers. All right. Anyways, let's see on D. If OR is equal to K, OY. Item 1, express OR. So in this case, they want us to express that OR that we are given in terms of what? K. So definitely we must include OY because that is where K is. So this one, it is just straightforward. So OR. Okay, so that's D item 1. So OR as we are given, it is K times what? Vector OY. So meaning to say you're going to simply substitute the OY that you calculated, which is 7 minus 6. So that's multiplied by K times 7. That's 7K k times minus 6, that's minus 6k. So that was our vector what? Our vector OR from the OY that we calculated before. Okay, then item 2, use the results of B item 2. B item 2, all right? B item 2 was here. B item 2, that's where we calculated what? OR. Remember on that, yeah, this was our B item 2. So use this result and the result of D item 1, this is where we expressed the OR on this D item 1, this is it. So with this one, this is our D item 1. So use these two results as we are given on our question to use them, these two results that we calculated, the B item 2 and what? The D item 1. So these results, they show what? They show or represent vector OR. So using those two results to find the value of H and the value of K. So are we seeing, guys, we are back again to those equations that we can formulate from equal vectors as these two vectors are equal. So here, guys, I'm just going to move this one aside. Sorry for that, the diagram. I'm just going to move it aside so that I can properly take these two together. So I'm just going to take these two together, those two results. All right, so we're using these two results. Let us determine the values that we are being asked of what? H and what? H and K. So this is what you are given from the two results. These two, they are representing the same vector OR. As a column vector, if I am given this, it simply means the corresponding elements, they are equal. This part, remember, a column vector, it represents xy. So it means the x of here and the x of here, they are equal. So you can form an equation. So it follows that 7k is equal to this one, 5 minus what? 6h. All right, that's an equation that you have formulated. And on the other end, it follows that here, the part of y, the second part, minus 6k and what? Minus 2h, they are equal. Minus 6h is equal to minus 6k is equal to minus 2h. Okay, so you can solve these equations simultaneously in the way that you understand. Are you going to use elimination? Are you going to use substitution method? All right, so on the other class that I had with you, I referred to the substitution method, which you can also use again here. Simply divide by -2 by -2 on this equation. So H is equal to what? Negative, negative cancels. So 6 divided by 2, that's 3. So that's 3k. So we can use this to find the value of k. As we can see, H is what? The subject. So using what? The substitution method. So I want you to use any method, guys, all right? So substitute in place of what? In place of H, the 3k in place of what? H. So it follows that this was going to be 7k is equal to 5 minus 6. Our H here is to be replaced with its equivalent, which is what? 3k. So you substitute that one with 3k. So as we can see, this equation is in terms of what? K only. So you can solve for what? Solve for K. Easy like that. So let us solve for K. 7k is equal to 5 minus 6 times 3, that's 18k. Then you collect the like terms, the 18 to the other side. You are going to add that one. So that's going to be 7 plus 18. Okay, let me just write 7k plus 18k is equal to 5. So let us add 7 plus 18, which is what? 25. So that's 25k equal to 5. Divide by what? By 25 like this. So this is going to give us the value of k. So 5 into 5, that's 1 into 25, that's 5. So this is 1 over 5. And we can find the value of h by substituting what? The value of k that we obtained. So h is equal to 3 times k, where k is what? 1 over 5. So this is same as over 1. So 3 times 1, that's 3. 1 times 5, that's 5. So this is our h and this is our k. So like I said, guys, you can use any way solve those two equations in the manner that you understand. All right, then that was it. Then here, let us have this part. Then part E, write down the numerical value of this ratio XR over RP. All right, XR over RP. So this is it. I want you to see something from this type of a question. I explained before, all right? Whenever you're given this XR over RP, like this one, whenever you're given this type of a question, you look into the given questions, like from these statements, is there any statement that we are given before which includes this part of XR and RP? So let's locate from our diagram where we have got XR and RP. XR, that is here, XR, this one, all right, and RP, this is our RP. So we can see that this part is taken from the line XP, is taken from the whole line XP. So do we have any of the given statements which includes XR, RP, and the line what? XP, where these are taken from, because they are taken from that line what? From the line XP. So what I'm saying, guys, is that you look into the given statements. Which are these given statements? One, part B, it was given that they gave us this statement. So you look into something like that. All right. The other one, they gave us also this statement, also given also that this statement, it was a given statement, this, but on this statement, we do not have these these lines XR, RP, XP. We do not have that. So this one cannot work. But if we check the first one, we have that from the given statement. They gave us that XR is equal to HXP. That statement is going to answer your question that you're given here. So using that statement, remember we calculated our H. We said our H was 3 over 5. We calculated this H. Now they're telling us from this statement, they told us that XR is equal to H, where H is what? 3 over 5. So they are saying XR is 3 over 5 of what? Of XP. This is what you are given. So this is how you answer this question. You look into what you are given before. Is there any relationship which contains these lines that you have here, including XP, where it is taken, where these lines are taken from? So we saw that this is the one. So from this one, we substituted H, which is 3 over 5. What does it mean from this understanding? XR is 3 over 5 of what? XP. Remember from the ratio, I said these two correspond. 5 corresponds to what you are multiplying, the denominator. what you are multiplying. The 3 here represents what you are calculating here. XR is the 3 parts. So from the diagram here, XR is the one that carries what? 3 parts. X from X to R. It carries 3 parts of that 5 parts that we are seeing here. X to R carries what? 3 parts from X to R. The 5 parts are for XP. From X here going to P. That is the one that has got what? 5 parts from X to P. So ask yourself now to say, what about here from R to P? If from X to P I have got 5 parts, from X to R, I have got 3 parts. What about from here, from R to P? How many parts are remaining, representing what? RP. So it's simply 5 minus these what? 3 parts that we are given, which is what? 2 parts. So from R going to P, we have 2 parts out of the 5 parts representing what? The whole line RP, where XR has got what? 3 parts out of the 5 parts. So this answers the ratio that we are given, if you understand this, because here we simply have to substitute into this given ratio. XR over RP, the way that you are given, XR is our main part. From X to R, we said it's 3 parts. Out of what? RP. From R to P, how many parts do we have? 2. From R to P. So you answer the way that you are given here. If you are given this way, XR is to RP, meaning to say you're going to write it as 3 is to 2. Here you're given as a fraction, write it as a fraction. So that's how you simply answer this type of a question, all right? So if, let's say they were asking us to write XR over XP, you're going to use the same concept. XR, how many parts? X to R is what? 3 parts. Out of XP, from X to P, how many parts? That is the one which has got the 5 parts, 3 plus 2. If, let's say, the question was like this, so you answer it from the given statement, you use that given statement, substitute the numerical value that you calculated, then analyze from that numerical value that you calculated before. So you analyze now on the line up. What does it actually mean when I'm given 3 over 5 of XP from that line? It simply means XR has got 3 parts. The 5 parts are for XP, what you're multiplying. It is the one that carries 5 parts. With this, you can answer any question. Use it to answer any typical question, this relationship or this understanding that I'm expressing now. So that's how you attempt vector questions, all right? So we have attempted this one. That was easy like that for a mark, all right? 1 mark. So that was it. This is how you can be given the questions based on what? On vectors. They can give us also from the column vector concept. So do revise as many questions as you can as you prepare yourselves for the exams ahead of time.